Day 32 of the Israel-Hamas war. We have two big developments to report. But first, let's show you some pictures. Israeli forces are still making advances. Today, they captured a weapons depot. It belonged to Hamas. Israel blew it up. Take a look. And this has been the trajectory. The U.S. calling for a humanitarian pause, Israel rebuffing the calls and intensifying its operations. Last week, they surrounded the Gaza city. A major offensive was expected, but overnight, something shifted. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made a concession. He said Israel is open to quote-unquote tactical pauses. That's the first major development we want to tell you about. Listen to this.
What they're proposing is a humanitarian pause. There will be no pause.
As far as tactical little pauses, an hour here, an hour there, we've had them before. I suppose we'll check the circumstances.
Tactical little pauses. A very carefully worded response. Prime Minister Netanyahu has been under immense pressure, as much from his allies as his critics. The civilian casualties have been mounting. Thousands of children have been killed in Gaza. Calls for a humanitarian pause have been growing louder. Until now, Netanyahu resisted them. He said no ceasefire until all hostages are released. But now he is offering small windows. You can call it a ceasefire, you can call it a pause. It basically means a halt in the Israeli attacks. And here's how it could play out in the battlefield. Military operations will be stopped only in some areas and only for a limited period of time. Such a pause could serve two purposes: delivering humanitarian aid and facilitating hostage rescue. And it won't be a first. Israeli forces have done this before. On the 20th of October, Netanyahu agreed to hold the fighting to facilitate the rescue of 2 American hostages. Now, the US wants more such windows. And that's one of the key reasons why Blinken traveled all the way to Israel. He met Prime Minister Netanyahu on Friday, apparently asked for a pause and was denied. Blinken said Israel had asked some questions. Listen to this.
Israel's raised important questions about how humanitarian pauses would work. We've got to answer those questions. We're working on exactly that.
So it seems Netanyahu has got the answers he wanted, plus he's dealing with increasing international scrutiny. The European Union too is asking for pauses, and so is Russia. This is what they said today.
The Israeli army's military operation continues. In this situation, it is very important for us that the humanitarian pauses are ensured. It is very important for us that the humanitarian needs of the civilian population of Gaza are met. It is important for us, of course, that Russian citizens are able to leave Gaza.
The hostage situation, that's the big concern for everyone. Israel says there are 242 hostages, many of them foreign nationals from as many as 40 countries. So far, just 4 hostages have been released. Netanyahu says all of them must be freed for him to agree to a ceasefire, and even then, he's not promising a complete exit. Israeli forces could remain in Gaza for a long time. That's development number 2. Here's what the Israeli Prime Minister said.
President Biden has said that it would be a mistake for Israel to occupy Gaza. Who should govern Gaza when this is over?
Those who don't want to continue the way of Hamas. It certainly is not. I think Israel will, for an indefinite period, will have the overall security responsibility.
And what does that entail? What kind of oversight does Netanyahu want? Will Israel reoccupy Gaza? Do they want to control the Strip? Netanyahu did not spell it out, but he has a template to refer to. In the year 1967, Israel fought with its neighbors, what's called the Six-Day War. Israel won, it occupied Gaza, and ended up staying there till the year 2005. And during this time, 25 Jewish settlements came up in Gaza. These were small settlements, just about 9,000 people lived there, and this presence became a source of constant friction and tension. It contributed to 2 uprisings, the first and the second Intifada. The settlements were a burden on Israel's finances too. Maintenance costs were high, plus the security for 9,000 residents. It was expensive. So in the year 2005, Israel asked them to leave Gaza, and then it withdrew its soldiers. But Israel retained control over 3 areas: the airspace, the shared border, and the shoreline in the west. Israel still controls this. It also supplies water and power to the Gaza Strip. In fact, when this conflict began, Israel was quick to cut off this supply, water and power. And now it is hinting at occupation for an indefinite period. This conflict could change the region as we know it.